that we will get to be putting out. Joining us this morning happens to be a man that has been here in 2019. We had a swell time, and he's here again. So we will get to talk about him and even more, some interesting feats that he has achieved recently also. Ask questions if you wish to, but we will love you too. Joining us happens to be Mr. Tonye Cole. The P happens to be Patrick. He's the co-founder and executive director of the Sahara Group. That takes us back to 1996 when that was formed. The Sahara Group has grown from a single entity to a group made of 10 companies and even more across the energy value chain. The company is present in about 8 countries or more, 3 continents, and employs over 3,200 people with an annual profit of more than 12 billion. He recently has something that got into his feet, which happened to him and I. It's interesting having to see you with the vice president. Mm-hmm. I was going through your your Instagram profile, and I saw so many things that you've been doing lately. So we tried to talk about that and even more.
That's fine.
It's great having you. My name is Alexander, and here is Oma. First, I would want to start from this angle, as always. Where were you on the 1st of October 2021?
What a day. 1st of October 2021, I was in school, 2021. And I was sitting down on that day, working on transformational... So I was in school on that day, right, working at the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Study towards getting my MNI. So 2021 was an intense year for me. Can't forget it.
Okay, for people that are just listening and are wondering what happened on the 1st of October 2021, please can you tell them?
So that day was when my mom passed on, and it was a major day because my sister put everything on Facebook, on the family WhatsApp. She was in a coma, her final days, so the whole family came together, and we just watched her final moments. It was surreal, but thank God for technology. So I couldn't be there, but my sister was there, and she put everything online for us.
It's been so much. Recently, you lost a cousin, Fubara.
Yes, I did. Another wonderful boy, and he's from your industry.
Yes.
But his own battle, so both of them battled cancer in different ways, and his own battle with cancer and both of them had a lot of faith. And so just watching them go through all this, and instead of growing weaker in Christ, they actually grew stronger. And they helped everyone so that you could just see this transformation in their lives of a body that was dying, but a spirit that was growing. It was beautiful to watch.
Beautiful badge you have there.
Yeah, this one.
Yes.
I worked for it, don't mind me.
We got to talk about that a little more. Let me, go ahead, Oma.
Okay, so speaking about the badge, I should guess I have the right to call you an architect right now. Architect Tonye Cole, right?
Why do you want to call me an architect? I am an architect as well, but this badge is for an MNI. It's the badge that you get after they have grilled you, they have beaten you, they've taught you, they've pushed you through at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru. And it's the highest think tank for strategic studies regarding policy in Nigeria. Once you get this badge, there's no policy in Nigeria that you cannot shape and work on for the betterment of this nation. And that, for me, is why I wear the badge.
Okay, so I'll just say congratulations and then we'll move on. But let's start with this one on a lighter note. What's your takeaway as regards the just concluded National Congress of the APC?
So the short answer to that is that it saved a lot of grief. And so I'm happy that we could come to a consensus. I'm happy that it showed that from a political end that we're getting a lot more mature in our ways of accepting defeat and putting others forward. In the past, you would have heard it's a do or die affair. No way, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. I must go this, and it will be such a chaotic scene. So I think APC did well in coming to a consensus, knowing that the alternative to a consensus was even more grief, and I think Nigerians have suffered enough.
But prior to that, your party was immersed in some kind of crisis, both at the national and at the state level. So with what you're saying, are we going to see an end to all of this soon?
Yeah. So exactly for that reason was why you needed a consensus, because if you did not come to a consensus, then all of that would have entrenched. Then you'd have seen people come out with such bitterness saying that it's me or not you, you know. So hopefully I see us now building a party and not building individuals, and that's where the difference is.
Since your party has gotten it right.
It's getting it right.
It's getting.
It's in the process.
No. It's a process.
When you say not has gotten.
No, we haven't gotten it all right.
Why?
Because everything about democracy is about improving. There's nobody that has gotten anything right. Everybody is improving a process. If America tells you that they have democracy right, then you know it's not true. Because if you see Russia, Ukraine, you know it's a problem. So no one has it all right. Everybody has a process. You know, when I left 2019 after the elections, I sat down to do a lot of deep reflections. And one of the things that I asked myself was, is democracy the right tool for Nigeria? Is democracy right for Nigeria? Have we just inherited something that is unworkable? Or do we find an alternative to democracy? And so I took a fellowship in Oxford, specifically to look into this question. At the end of that process, I started in 2020, went through COVID and all of that, went to NIBS and finishing now. When I was writing the final report, having thought through this process, two things came to mind. One, that there's no nation in the world that has completely solved the democratic problem. One, democracy to you is totally different to democracy to somebody else. That meaning democracy is different. So what I have found out is that every country that is getting it right is shaping democracy to meet their specific needs. So what we have to do in Rivers State, what we have to do in Nigeria is shape a democracy that answers to you and answers to me. That's what we need to shape, not a democracy that answers to somebody else outside of this world. What affects you, what affects me in Nigeria, shape it. So that's where we're working, and that's what we want to do.
Why is it then it seemed to be taking the Rivers APC to get it right?
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, how old is Rivers APC? Let's start with that. So, Rivers APC is 8 years old, okay, roughly, which means that it is a baby. It's an amalgamation of people who had come, had fought, had argued, had some very difficult times working together, but it's an 8-year-old child.
At any point in time, will you defect from the APC?
No. Okay, so first and foremost, I said to you that one of the things that we're doing is building a party. For a long time, the way that Nigeria is that you have the PDP and you have the APC, and there's a cross-carpeting between both, because what people are looking for is whichever vehicle will take them to power. So what you are seeing are individual interests for power and not party interests for power. The one thing that we are trying to establish is a difference between parties. Make sure that you have a different party, different ideology, and different process for one party to another. We're not there. That's why I said that this is work in progress. So what you have are new people who are coming in, shaping what the party should look like. So my coming into this entire process was coming from the background that I have built a business, worked on it through an ideology, developed it over years, having a very strict focus on what I want to see happen over the years. That's exactly what I want to see in politics. So my coming into politics, first of all, was a 20-year journey. I looked at myself turning 50, that by the time I get to 70, all of these things that you're talking about should be clear. If there's a party called APC in 20 years' time, it should be a party that has its ideology very clear. It should either be to the left or to the right, depending on what we want to shape it to be. It should have very clear ideological aspirations for young people, for old people. One of the biggest challenges that we have today in politics is that everybody who is old does not know that their tomorrow is going to be secure. They don't know. A 70-year-old man today, right, cannot sit down and tell you that he knows that his healthcare is taken care of. He doesn't know. He doesn't know where his pension is going to be paid. He doesn't know. So he doesn't know what he's going to do tomorrow. So if you offer an 80-year-old today, minister, offer him commissioner here in Rivers State, an 82-year-old man will take that commissioner job. A 90-year-old man will accept it and say that I'm going to go. Why? Because they've seen that there's no continuity in life. We have to change all of that. It must change.
Interesting.
Okay, so Mr. Cole, you talked about...
Yes, ma'am.
You talked about consensus. Do
Yes.
you agree that consensus doesn't allow merit? That is, choosing a consensus candidate doesn't give a guarantee that the man or the woman who's chosen is good for the job.
Okay, fair enough. So there are three of us here, right? You're well-educated, he's well-educated and well-educated. Three of us are actually the best in our field, and we want one. Three of us. Can we come to a consensus as three very educated, very experienced, very capable people? Can we do that? I've had consensus of very capable people. The problem that you are seeing is that the mix of people who are inside, right, you feel have not lived up to that expectation. So what I would say to you is that remember that politics, you must bring in and you must draw in people who you will sit down and say, these are capable people. So if there were three of me and we came out and you were very happy that these are three people who you know have excelled together, and we came out and we had a discussion and we said that, okay, as a consensus, it's Alexander that is going, you won't have that argument.
But what if he's not? Like I said, a consensus candidate might just not be the best man for the job. So
what if it is?
So is it a case of mini, money, more?
No. A consensus means that we sit down and we agree here that, you know what, the skills needed for today, you actually have it. And I sit down and I have a very rational, we sit down together and we have a rational discussion and say that, you know what Alexander has today is what is needed for today. What I have may be needed for tomorrow or may have been needed for yesterday. But we say that, you know what, it's best for Alexander to do it. If it's rational and it's good and it has a reason for now, then it can be done. Where there's a challenge, and consensus is not undemocratic, because some people say, oh, consensus means it is undemocratic. No, it's not. What is democracy at the end of the day? Like I said, democracy differs. The more I study democracy, the more I found out that you need to address the needs of people. Fairness, equity, where people stand, I give, I take, you might have something now. All of that is part of a democratic negotiation. For Nigeria, where we are today, if I take everything because I have the majority, if I take everything because education comes only from my end, if I take everything because I am the most meritorious, what happens to you? There's no riverine person that I know that will say that Ogonis do not deserve to have a governor. None. They will support it. The zoning happened to come to rivers, to the riverine. And so we expect that the Ogoni brothers that we have will support us. And in return, when it is their turn, we will support them en masse. And I will lead that. Definitely. I'm saying it on air. I have no problem with Ogonis. They deserve to have leadership. It's been zoned. And because it's been zoned to the riverine, the Ogonis are out of that zoning for today. But believe me, tomorrow, they deserve it. They deserved it yesterday. They deserved it today. They deserve it tomorrow. And they must get it.
Do you have a candidate for presidency? So far, anybody that interests you? Is anybody out yet?
So right now, we believe that Rotimi Amaechi is a candidate that should lead. He's our leader. He has proven himself. He has an interest in it. He has not declared publicly. We're asking him to please go ahead and do so. If he does, that's it. If he doesn't, we'll find somebody else and we'll support. But so, APC is APC.
So when you say we'll find somebody else, so the people that have declared so far...
It might probably be a case of consensus, I should guess.
No.
Presidency is going to be hard to be consensus.
Because, I mean, if Rotimi Amaechi declares, do you think he actually stands a chance?
What chance?
Interesting.
Above all odds?
What chance?
Okay. So, I remember the last election, you actually took a swipe at the brick house.
Did I? It's very unlike me. I don't do that.
And then now you actually confirmed to Alex that, yes, you are interested in coming out for the seat at the Break House in Rivers State. Now, I just want to ask a question that I usually ask during the front page news. It's one thing to declare that you want to come out for a particular seat. What do you think is the particular need of the Rivers people that the party presently sitting has not addressed so long?
So I don't know what the party that is sitting is addressing or not addressing. What I know today is that the Rivers people they're hungry. Poverty is rife, believe me. I went to places where there's no presence of government, none whatsoever. When I was and this was during a tour that I was going word to word, I went to places where government cannot even show face.
Where?
I went to K, I went to Anthony, I went to Bile, I went to riverine communities.
And there is no government presence.
You can't, no government. There's no police station, there's no court, there's no hospital, there's school, there are no government schools.
Wow.
Okay? And this is in Rivers State. In Rivers State.
As you're talking about this, since we are now talking about the places you've gone to quickly, we are seeing loads of flyovers being done, and people have actually said, the flyovers are in one area and stuff. What are your thoughts about these flyovers?
They need infrastructure, so I don't have a problem with that. The infrastructure helps you, it helps me, it helps people move around and all of that. So again, I don't have a problem with that. Everybody has their call, everybody has what they want to do. So it has pleased this government that that's what they want to do. And fine, that's it. That's their vision, that's what they want to do, and they've addressed that. I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in is that people, look, I saw women, right, who lost people because the tide had gone down and they could not build a bridge for 1 million naira, a jetty for 1 million naira. So when the tide is down, a boat cannot come, and when they are in labor, they have to have the baby there and then, no medical assistance, and the cost for that is minimal. I saw a lot. I saw plenty. So there are people in areas that need help, where a little intervention will make a big difference. That's where I'm interested in. My whole life has been about philanthropy, about going to those who cannot, who don't have, who have no voice, who no one can speak for, and all of that. When I believe that I do business and I make money, it's not for me. At the end of the day, it's to help people first, encourage people to see that if you can do it, I can do it. So that for me is the best thing first. I give a very visual display of what you can do. So as I've been in politics, and I know how many people have just walked up to me to say that they're watching because I have gone in, they have an interest. That is the main thing. So when we get into consensus, you see more of me there, don't worry.
I have a question that was sent personally to me by a top member of the APC.
Okay.
And this question says, what are the principles of consensus? Can one man carry out consensus on behalf of other stakeholders without consulting them?
No, they can't. They can't. So even in a consensus, right, you're going to find people that are unhappy about a consensus. So the first thing is that when you have a consensus, you have, let's take an issue of House of Representatives. So what's a House of Representatives? One person is representing a group of people. So you cannot have a consensus that is going to include every single human being. In APC, all of them will come, sit down, and everyone down to the newest card-carrying member is sitting at a consensus. So that's an impossible task. So when he's asking that question, I would say no, it's impossible. You cannot take everybody, but the principle of a consensus at the end of the day is that majority stakeholders are sitting down and coming to an agreement that this is the way to go. Even when that consensus is achieved, people are not going to be happy. You can't please everyone.
We're really out of time, but let's see what we can do quickly, in a few seconds, because the news is up at 11:15.
Okay.
We'll talk about your philanthropy. She would get through to it, but if you're listening to the voice, or you're hearing the voice of Mr. Tonye Patrick Cole. Of course, him is a name everybody knows. But I want to ask you this: 2019. Before then, how often do you come home?
Well, so first of all, I moved into Rivers State, so I live here. So this is home. I travel, I come back, but this is home. In the last 2 years, I've had to go first to reflect. One, I said to you, I had to go and answer the question of democracy and all of that. So I went to Oxford to study transformational leadership. So, and this goes to your point, we need to transform Nigeria and we need to transform Rivers State. But you need to have a way to understand how to do that. So I spent time at a fellowship in Oxford working on transformational leadership. I finished that. I spent time at National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies to understand. I came to the conclusion after the last election that if you don't understand policies, if you don't understand government, if you don't understand the strategy of it, that's what I've been doing, improving myself for governance so that I can improve the lives of people. And believe me, I have no regrets whatsoever. What I have learned in terms of transformational leadership and something called unlikely coalitions, and what I have learned at the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, the people who will benefit the most from that are Rivers people.
In one word, what is your relationship with the grassroots?
I went to
right now.
Right now. Very good. Look at them here. They're here. They're still there. Grassroots people.
Okay, so first off, just a teaser. I hope you are not in the APC because the vice president is your church member. I knew that was going to get you, right? Well, is that true?
No, of course not.
Okay, it's strictly out of religion,
it's strictly
right?
out of it.
Okay, so then speaking about you being a philanthropist and all of that, let me bring it down to, the welfare of Rivers people. What would you say, or how would you evaluate on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you evaluate the mental state of Rivers people right now?
I think we scale of 1 to 10 mental state. I'll put us somewhere around 5. I think we're under stress, but we're resilient as a people, right? But what I see is troubling. Okay, what I see is troubling. So I've seen a lot of resilience. Let me give you an example. I lost a young boy a few days ago. This was somebody who in Rivers State, he scored the highest in terms of WAEC, scored the highest JAM. He was, I heard his name on radio or something. I never met him. So I just heard his name in radio. I said, let's look for this boy because these are the kind of people that want to make an example of Rivers people. So I went to look for him. His name is Franklin Okeke. Brilliant young boy. He was 16 at the time when I met him. I began to mentor him. He was ready to leave Nigeria, all sorts of things, but he didn't. So I said, let us build this nation. He went to Nile University. He started doing computers there. Brilliant guy. He was playing football the other day and died. My mental state at the time that he passed on, I was at the airport when I got a call that we have lost Franklin. This was like a son to me. Now, many things are going through my mind. The simplest thing, CPR. Did the people around him know how to do CPR there and then? Now, these are things that everywhere else they teach you right from school. Did Franklin have to die like that? I doubt it. I think he could have been saved. And these are the kind of things that drive me. So when I lose people like that, it affects me mentally. But I also know that the way that I deal with it almost immediately is that I make it a purpose in life. I just chase a purpose that Franklins don't have to die because somebody does not know how to do CPR. Franklins don't have to die because you cannot pick up a phone, call an ambulance and come and get him. My mom fell, hit her head in London. They picked her up, called and went. Within an hour of that falling, she was in surgery doing a neurosurgery. If she was here when she fell, believe me, should have gone.
Now you just might be wondering, why are we talking about this? Just to tell you quickly, he's a philanthropist whose activities include chairman Enactus Nigeria. He also founded the Nehemiah Youth Empowerment Initiative. He's also a founder of Nehemiah Leadership Institute. He's the founder of Behavioral Health Institute. Of course, the founder of the Reach Nigeria Foundation. Go on social media, you'd find Reach Nigeria. I wish I can reach that out almost immediately. And of course, the Rivers Professional Forum, a board member of Slum to School Foundation. I follow them on social media, Instagram.
Good.
See what they do. You are a motivational speaker, married to a beautiful doctor. Say hi to her.
Hey, Sylvia, sweetheart, my love. You want me to? I'll take all the time. Love you.
We have to go now. Thank you for joining Alexander and Oma. We appreciate your time, and hopefully we get to see you even more.
I'm sure you will. Oma will see me. She has many more questions for me, so I know she will invite me.